Hi, I'm Randy Van Wagner, president of Mohawk Valley Community College, and I'm joined here with Robin and Mark Saxe, who are helping me celebrate MVCC's 75th anniversary. Robin has been at the college. She started part-time in 2003 and started full-time in 2006, working in the child care center at the college. Was also then, subsequent to that, was the founding coordinator of our College Community Connection C3 program, and is now a student support advisor, doing great work with the Guided Pathways efforts here at the college for student success. And Mark started in facilities in 2011 and was promoted to supervisor of facility services in 2015. So Robin and Mark, thanks so much for joining me and helping MVCC celebrate 75 years.
Thank you for having us.
Great. So I guess, Robin, we'll start with you. If you don't mind, share a little bit about how, what's the story of how you came to work at MVCC?
So I started as an alumni here. I graduated in 2000 and I had done an associate's degree in the Oneana program. And I never went into the school system. I did childcare for a lot of years and I was working in childcare. And I saw that the MVCC childcare was opening, and I knew from being here as a student how wonderful it was, and I really wanted to take part in that. I applied for the full-time position, didn't get it at the time, but they called me in to work part-time, and I just jumped on it because I knew it was quality and I knew I wanted to be here. And I remembered from being a student here how much I loved it, how comfortable I was. So I did part-time, and then thankfully was able to move to full-time. And then I've just transitioned throughout all of my years here because I really love working here. And I can't imagine that there was anywhere else that I would want to be. So every opportunity that's been given to me, I've really kind of jumped on just to, solidify myself as part of the MVCC community.
That's great. And Mark, how about you? I guess 5 or so years later, you found your way into full-time work here at the college. How did that come about?
Before my stint here at MVCC, I was a diesel mechanic, worked for Leroy Holding Company, and they had a round of layoffs. Right at that time, it must have been fate because Robin told me through the grapevine that a position was going to be open in facilities and operations. So I put my application in and called every single day. At the time, Pam Evans was in my position. She finally got sick of me and told me to start calling HR, so I did that. And eventually I got an interview and got hired. I started as a building maintenance helper. I think a year later, I got promoted to building maintenance worker, which they call crew leader. And then 2015, supervisor of facility services came open, and I put my application in for that and got it, which made me very happy.
That's great. So between you, more than a decade plus, both of you with a decade plus, so more than 2 decades between you. Lots of memories, I'm sure, some good, some bad. Certainly, Robin, some very tough waters to navigate when the child care center closed, and to see the amazing work you've done in founding the C3 program, and then being one of the new SSAs. Great story there. And then certainly Mark, with all that you do with your team to keep the place as it is every day, pre-pandemic, pandemic, post-pandemic, whatever it takes. So plenty of memories there. If you don't mind sharing some that either memories that stick out that, represent what MVCC means to you, or just some memories for one reason or another that will probably stay with you for a long time, if you don't mind sharing some of those.
So even though I did have, some difficult times and things like that, there's been so much good and so many amazing memories that I have of day-to-day interactions with people, big events that we've put on and things like that, that probably the one that sticks out to me most is the data summit when we had the C3 student panel.
Yeah.
And being able to help them to share their stories, not only with the campus, but with the board. We got to meet with the board too. And that was huge because it brought awareness to everything that we tried to do, both when I was in C3 and as a student support advisor to support the students. So I think that that was a really big turning point, and I was just glad to be part of that.
Yeah, I think that is so true. I'm so glad you shared that, because that is, I think throughout the, majority of the 75 years of MVCC, individual faculty and staff just gave their all for students, and they knew those individual student circumstances, and they helped those students in the moment, and then would try to create supports wherever we could. But the work, by when the C3 program came along, it was just the right evolution, both in society and education and MVCC and here locally, that we saw the true magnitude of what challenges our students have outside the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And you and your colleagues helped the whole college see that we needed in some way to take ownership, that we needed to do more than we ever thought we could to help students outside of class.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was big, and it was just wonderful to be a part of. It really was.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, any memory or situation come to mind that might stand out among others?
Yeah, although facilities deals with its fair share of disasters and emergencies, my experience here has been on the positive. I think one of the best ones would be my Peaks experience. I really enjoyed that program. It taught me a lot, like the surroundings and camaraderie that went with it.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit? So Peaks is a kind of a leadership program. Just describe how did that work?
It was up, was it Middlebrook up
Yeah.
north there, and Idolin. She's a wonderful person, great speaker, very smart. We would have classes and learn different things like crucial conversations and emotional intelligence, different things like that for most of the day. And then in the evening time, we got to hang out with one another, have a few drinks, maybe sit on the dock, look at the water, go on hikes, different things like that.
Yeah.
It really taught me a lot, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, that's great. Those chances that the college somehow creates for folks to get together outside, both in kind of a professional and personal setting, to just kind of grow together.
Mm-hmm.
Is,
And I felt fortunate to be chosen for that.
Yeah, that's great. And Robin, I used to come to you for when you were at the C3 program, I used to ask you for, literally almost on a monthly basis, blow my mind with your next story of a student that came through and the challenges and things. Years later, now in this role as SSA, you're a little removed from that, and you may have your own SSA, as a student support advisor, have student stories, but is there one or two that kind of stick out of when the college's vision of transforming lives through education, where you were part of rallying solutions for a student who was just up against untold circumstances?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There have been so many students, and a lot of times, especially with housing, some students who had just lost housing or didn't have housing and were living in their cars. I had a student who was living in his car, and we were able to support him in the dorms for a short period of time, and then be able to connect him with county services and other services in the area to get him an apartment and get him back on his feet and have a room to do his work and have a computer and those sorts of things. And to see him turn around mid-semester, his grades was tremendous, just because we're moving into the dead of winter and he didn't have a place to be warm and to be cared for and things like that. So other students, I had another student who, she lost a tire on her car, And there was just no way that she was going to be able to afford to replace that tire and then make it to school. And she was in the nursing program, final year. And we were able, through our partnership with the Women's Fund, be able to replace that tire for her. And those kinds of things were almost on a daily basis. Just those little tiny moments of things. And people looked at us with such shock that we were able to help them with those little things. And suddenly this tremendous worry that they had was just gone.
Yeah.
And being able to do that, and with the resources and partnerships that we had, was amazing. It really
those molehills became mountains, thinking
Yep.
a tire.
Yep.
It's just a tire.
Tire. Yep.
Well,
Single tire. And there was just no way. She was in tears. She had, gotten a ride that day, but it wasn't going to be a consistent ride. And I said to her, there's this funding, and come on in my office and let's fill out this form. And she's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I said, no, really, I just need an estimate from you and we can move forward with it. And it was just shocking. It was just a moment of absolute shock for her, that she could not believe that this was happening. And she came in to use the pantry. She wasn't even coming to me about the tire. I just went up to her, asked her how her day was, and it moved on from there.
Wow.
Just making sure and checking in with students opens those doors to those things. And it's a simple hello, how's your day, to kind of find out, what their real challenges are.
Made it pretty easy to come back to work the next day, huh?
Yes. Yep. Love those little victories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about the college is how our board of trustees emphasizes community as our middle name. And that means opening the college up to the community. And there are days, when our cultural series offers 75 events a semester, and we have 50 plus student clubs and organizations on campus doing different things. And everybody needs room setups, and you got to clean before and after and how, and move stuff around to make it all happen. And I have no idea how it happens, but Mark, there's got to be some situations where, I don't want to use the word miracle, but let's just say your team probably surprised even you. So I don't know if there's one that comes to mind, like we did these three things all together at once and navigated the time-space continuum and made it happen somehow.
That's usually how it goes.
That was Tuesday. Okay.
Just about every day, there's situations like that. We're supposed to do setups, and maybe we didn't get the right information. We set it up, and then the person who needed the setup comes and says, "This is all wrong." I'm like, "Well, it's the information you gave us." And, "Oh, I'm sorry, but," okay, call the crew back. And we do it with smiles, and we love to help everybody out, the whole college community, and get the results that they want and that we want. It's a good sense of accomplishment, you know what I mean? And they all work together very well. And
you play a big role when, like, we could not host the Boilermaker Expo every summer and move 30,000 people through the campus in 36 hours without your team. Any stories come to mind from the Boilermaker Expo of?
Oh, many. I mean, there's always emergencies, spills and things like that. Nothing that really sticks out in my head, just things like that.
Actually, I've got one. Tell me about the when we had the home show in the Jorgensen, like shortly after the Jorgensen was open, and we've got what happened?
One of the vendors decided to use Armor All on their tractor tires to shine them up without putting anything underneath the tire or protecting the floor.
Oh.
And people were having fits, and it was almost impossible to get off of that rubber floor. But I finally found a chemical that would do it without harming the floor. And but it was still quite a while before we could get that stain off of the floor.
Yeah.
And they tried to do it the next year after we warned them not to. And luckily I was there to catch them and explain to them why they can't do it very nicely.
Yes,
but,
certainly.
And they gave me a little attitude at first, but then I explained what happened the previous year and stuff, and they understood and complied.
Yeah. That's, you know, there's that risk, there's a tolerance of when we're pushing it a little too far and opening things up for the community, but doing whatever it takes to help make it work, which is just part of how this place works. So between the two of you, you have, 25 years of time with the college and so many other things you could be doing, but what makes you stay at the college and keep on keeping on, Robin?
For me, it's the people I work with. Well, not just the people, it's everybody who works here, everyone who works here. Not just my team, but there are so many people that I have connections to and can have conversations with and bounce ideas off of, and then working with colleagues and helping them find solutions to problems and, coming up with creative ideas for things and being able to be on committees. And then it's the students, and the students are everything for me. I love my caseload. I love talking to the students, meeting new students through our GPS appointments, having them text me, call me with issues, being able to solve those issues. And then my biggest thing is, and it's been tough the last couple of years, but going to graduation is huge for me. I mean, I see people walk across the stage and I'm like, oh, I know that student, yay. It's just seeing them complete and get their degree and be excited and know that they're moving on to what they want to do for the rest of their life. I started out my college career never thinking I was going to be a student support advisor at a college. It never crossed my mind. I was going to be a childcare teacher for the rest of my life. And I have been able to experience so many other things. And it's only because I've been here. I could not have had these experiences anywhere else. So, I love being here, and I am planning to be here until the very bitter end.
Very, very good. The happy end.
Yes.
Mark, how about you? What makes you stay?
Well, MV's been a part of my life ever since I was little. Come swimming here, things like that. And I got the chance to work here and develop relationships. It's the sense of community, and I guess in short, it just feels like home.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you both so much for helping me celebrate MVCC's 75th anniversary.
Very well.
You're very welcome.